Hello and welcome to another edition of the Front Row Roundtable show presented by Ralphie's. Glad to have you with us. I'm Norm Waymer. This is Big John Malkowski. This is Marty Bin. How you doing?
I was waiting for court jester or what. Never mind. My official title changes weekly. Is that right?
I was just cutting it short, doing something different today.
All right. Well, it was confusing. It's not hard to confuse me.
All right, keep Marty away from the shiny objects. How's everybody?
Good.
Eh.
We're here. You're 0 for 2. You're 0 for 2. 20 seconds in, you're 0 for 2.
Yes.
Hey, it's Father's Day tomorrow.
Story of my life.
Dad, thank you for everything. And part of the reason I'm here is because I think fathers everywhere
I think
put
the whole reason you're here.
Well, no.
Come to think of it.
Let's not cut Mom out of her part.
No, if you take Dad out of the equation, Mom's part doesn't happen. So, at least if I remember correctly.
Anyways, I meant here like sports-wise is because, all those times in the yard and whatever else, and including at least one broken nose. So, again, thank you for that, Dad.
What's your first sports memory with Dad?
You mean game-wise, or?
I don't care. It's not a quiz. I'll give you mine.
Okay, go ahead.
How's that?
Go ahead.
The early one that I remember most is being taken to a Mud Hens exhibition game against the Tigers back when the Tigers were with them back in the early 70s. And I was a big Norm Cash fan, and there was a bunch of guys signing autographs, and that was one of them. And I couldn't get to him. And Dad picked me up and lifted me over the fence to get the autograph. And I stood there and went, no.
So mine is that Mom and Dad taught me to do everything, and they're both right-handed. So the reason I write so poorly to this day is because they taught me to write with the wrong hand. Taught me to cut. So they buy me a glove. I think I was either 5 or 6. Buy me my first ball glove for Easter, heading into the summer. And they buy me a right-handed, a glove that goes on your left hand. So Dad throws the ball, and I catch the ball, take the glove off, and throw it back. And he says, "What in the Sam H are you doing?" And I'm throwing the ball back. He goes, "You throw it the other hand." "No, I don't." "Yes, you do." "No, I don't." "Yes, you do." "No, I don't." Yeah. So by then, I'd already learned incorrectly to bat right and throw left, which is backwards if you want to be
successful.
Yeah. That's the opposite of what you want to be versatile on a ball diamond. So. Yeah, so there's my first memory of my father was realizing after buying a glove that I was throwing with the wrong hand.
Yep. My dad coached me right out of the gate, coach pitch, and I just remember him coaching me all through the early years, and he was the first one that stressed, well, if I'm going to have to bring you to practice, I might as well help out. And I took that, and I did that a lot with my kids too.
All right, there's no good transition to NBA, but Marty started me down this path, so. NBA's done, 4 games and outs.
Thankfully.
Yeah, the idea that winning 1 or 2 would have meant something is painful to me. It was
as I put on Twitter that night, I think was that Golden State had clinched the 28-game series, 15 games to 7, with the win. Isn't the whole idea of a salary cap to prevent what we just saw?
But that's the interesting thing. There's salary cap in baseball or basketball, football, and hockey. Basketball and football are 2 that have dynasties all the time. And baseball is the one without a salary cap, has had the most parity and the most different teams win. I don't think...
See, I think that's because it lets you spend money stupidly. And so there's a punishment in baseball for spending money foolishly. So it keeps, when you try to buy, it comes back and gets you.
Well, I think it's the opposite. I think that in baseball you can make up for your stupidity by spending more money. You can't in the NBA.
Yeah, but in the NBA, the NBA, I don't even know why they call it a salary cap. Because everybody's over the so-called cap. I mean, it's just a suggestion. You might not want to spend more than this, but if you do, we'll fine you a little bit, but no big deal.
It's like the pirate code.
Yeah, I mean,
a guideline.
There's no reason why, if you're going to have a salary cap, why you have 3 superstars on the Golden State team, plus a guy like Draymond Green.
That's what I'm saying. Wasn't this supposed to prevent what we just saw, 4 straight years of the same 2 teams in the finals? It was supposed to prevent dynasties.
Right, and I guess it has somewhat in the NFL. Because the real dynasty now is the Patriots, and they don't do it by outspending everybody. They just do it because they're Bill Belichick knows what he needs and goes out and gets it.
And even then, it's not year after year after year. I mean, there have been gaps in their runs.
But in the NBA, and even now with all the talk, where's LeBron going to play? Where is he going? It's, well, if he goes here, he's going to have to bring this person with him. Or, this other superstar is going to have to come with him and play. Or he's going to have to go join more superstars. The bad teams never get better.
And the bad teams never get better because the money that they do have, they have to overpay on somebody who's not worth it.
And the draft, you're drafting 19-year-old kids who you don't know if they can play or not.
You can't get the superstars to come play for a lousy team.
Right.
So you're stuck with the best of everybody else.
You're stuck
so you're paying
overpaying.
top money for the second-tier guys, or maybe the third-tier guys.
Well, like the Pistons paying Blake Griffin $20-some-odd million, who's never been a franchise player, is hurt often, and now the Pistons have this huge contract, and I don't know if it's ever going to help them.
Well, the player they dealt, I think, was making 16.
Right.
So
in the NBA, your salaries have to match. If you try to make a trade, the salaries have to match
took
up.
some
still.
off.
I think the NBA regular season to me is almost completely unwatchable, and I don't see anything getting better next year or the year. I mean, unless they change something dramatically, it gets harder and harder for me to care until it's 2 or 3 series deep in the playoffs, and then I sort of start paying attention because the rest is so predictable to me before the season starts, and I don't like that.
Well, and what does it really matter? Toronto gets the number 1 seed in the East, loses in the playoffs, and fires their coach. The Cavs are kind of playing all year. They trade off half their team in December and get new guys, and finish in third, and they end up being in the finals anyway.
Right. We end up with a repeat performance. I mean, nothing changed. For all the
We almost had Boston, Houston.
Yeah, and who knows if Gordon Hayward
for a couple injuries and maybe.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda. I mean,
I'm not sure I buy that, by the way. I'm not
Well,
sure.
they both went 7, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm saying I'm not sure it would have played out differently. I'm not sure in my head I convinced myself it would have played out differently.
Because home team lost both game 7s.
Yeah. Again, what does the regular season matter if that's going to be the case? And if you can be Dwayne Casey, get Toronto to the number 1 seed, set a team record, franchise record for wins, and you're out of a job. You're named coach of the year 2 days after you get fired.
I don't mind dynasties. I kind of like dynasties. But it's how they're put together in the NBA that's odd.
Well, and when a guy wants to take a pay cut to go to a team and then can sign a max contract after he's there, it really fudges the whole thing.
But nobody
up.
else recruits teammates to come over with them.
Right. It's one thing if you have the Cowboys
in another sport. Give me a. I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Football players have recruited other guys to come around.
Like who?
All right, after the break, I mean I can't think of anybody off the top of my head, but I will, because
Well, maybe as things go along, Tom Brady, they need a wide receiver. Hey, so and so, why don't you come play with us? I'm talking about getting 3 or 4 of your best friends and all moving to the same team at the same time.
Well, the NFL salary cap is so much different because you've got 53 guys you have to try to fit under there. If you bring 2 or 3 of the highest paid players in the game and put them on one team, you're going to have a bunch of minimum wage guys on the rest of the team. That's not going to work anyway. In basketball, you can have 8 players in a rotation, and that's all you need. The rest of them can be fodder. I mean, the NFL, you need way too many pieces to be good.
My last thought on this is there were plays made and shots made throughout the playoffs by the teams that survived, and especially some of the LeBron and Durant and some of those shots and things, that I still shake my head and think, I don't remember ever seeing that 15 or 20 years ago, that a guy from that range steps back and every time the ball leaves his hand, you expect it to go in. So I also wonder if there are just certain people that are so completely, that you can't defend them, that things have changed so much that the game's never going to be the same.
All right, we'll take a timeout, and when we come back, I want to talk a little boxing because there are some local guys that are making big-time waves. We'll explain it when we come back. Front Row Roundtable show presented by Ralphie's.
Bring yourself to Ralphie's. Yeah, it's that good. It's that good no matter what your taste. It's that good.
Save more at the Monroe Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Superstore when you drive home one of 4 amazing new models for only $178 a month. Drive home in a 2018 Dodge Charger GT all-wheel drive, 2018 Jeep Compass Limited, the all-new 2019 Jeep Cherokee Limited, or the all-new 2018 Jeep Wrangler Limited Sport 4-wheel drive 4-door. Call the Low Payment Kings toll-free at 1-888-4DODGE-1 or check out hundreds of cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs at monroesuperstore.com.
Red Wing Shoes, a quality built to last, just like the legacy of service at your Red Wing Shoes dealer, North Reynolds at Bancroft in Toledo. Family owned and operated since 1982. 4 generations building a legacy of quality and service for years to come. Our sales staff has over 95 years selling and servicing Red Wing shoe products, and we have the largest selection of Red Wing shoes in Northwest Ohio. Irish Setter, Works, and our USA-made heritage shoes. In stock, no waiting. Red Wing Shoes, North Reynolds at Bancroft, where service, quality, and fit come first.
Powerbomb Wrestling is now available for live performances at your business or fundraiser. You can have a live Powerbomb Wrestling show either inside or outside to attract potential customers to your business. Also, PBW Wrestling can help you raise thousands of dollars for your nonprofit organization or charity. Find out more about the power of Powerbomb Wrestling and help your organization today. Contact us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or at our website at pbwexcitement.com. All right, welcome back for our Roundtable show presented by Ralphie's. And don't forget, wing time at Ralphie's. Anytime weekdays from 2 until 5 to 10 count wings for just half price. And also half price appetizers any night after 9 at all the area Ralphie's locations. All right, this gets a little geeky for some, but it has to do with local guys. All right, and I know some people are not into boxing, which is fine. Some were, fell out. It's a great time to get back in. There are tremendous fights that are coming up. Last year was an extremely good year for the sport. This one's another one. It's not disappointing. Now, Robert Easter, who's the IBF lightweight champion from here in Toledo, has a huge fight at the end of July. And this is not overstating the fact, this is a huge fight. He's going to fight Mikey Garcia, who's got one of the other lightweight titles.
So it's a unification fight, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mikey Garcia is a bona fide superstar in the sport. There are champions and there are dominant champions. And there's not many dominant champions. Mikey Garcia is one of them. Undefeated. He's won championships in 3 divisions. He went up to 140 and he's actually coming back down to 135, which actually is a better weight for him. It's a very dangerous fight for Robert Easter, although he will get paid 7 figures for this fight, which that trumps a lot of things when you're talking about. But Mikey Garcia is a wrecking machine. It's not going to be an easy fight, to say the least. But it is on Showtime. It's not on pay-per-view, but it's on Showtime at the end of July.
And Easter's got him in reach, correct?
Oh, height and
quite a
reach.
bit, yeah.
I think Easter has everybody in reach
But
in that.
Mikey
that
Garcia
division.
is a wrecking machine.
Well,
He's a very good defensive fighter as well.
The fact that it's not on pay-per-view makes it a lot better for the sport, I think. Because me, as a very casual boxing fan, I'm not going to pay $45, $55, $65 for a pay-per-view. But if it's on Showtime, I'll probably tune in. Saturday night, I'm not doing anything else. I mean,
Yeah, I'm with you. I will watch this fight, and I would not have bought the fight. So.
And it's the same thing. I know the heavyweight division just had basically a 4-man elimination coming down to Joshua and
Wilder.
Who
have just basically agreed to fight in the UK.
And I watched those 2 fights because they were not pay-per-view. The 2 eliminations, they had 4 undefeated boxers, 2 elimination fights, and those were excellent fights. And for me, especially being a casual fan, I thought they were great. And the fact that they were on, I don't want to say free TV because it was HBO, but the fact that they were not on pay-per-view made it even better.
So in this fight, yeah, Easter's got the height and reach. Here's the thing, though, And this is the thing that Easter has to prove in this fight, that he can beat an elite champion. And that's something he hasn't gotten a chance to prove yet. Now, his last couple of fights were decision fights, fairly close decision fights. He hasn't shown the ability to go to that next level. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't, but he's going to have to change things up. And he did change trainers. He brought in a different trainer for this fight, somebody who's had other world champions, which is interesting on the good side for Robert Easter, and it's no aspersions against anybody that was working with him before. And he said that he's got to get out of his comfort zone and have somebody kick him in the butt and push him a little bit, which is fine
Like
too.
he's staying out west and
But
training
he's
out
got to
west.
box in this match. He's got to forget the machismo stuff and trying to knock people out. Knockouts come when they come, unless you're a wrecking machine like Garcia, who can take you out with one punch. Easter packs a good punch, but he's not a one-punch knockout guy, not against world-class fighters. He's got the ability to box, use his reach, stay away, but he's got to fight that kind of fight and fight a disciplined fight to win this fight. If he doesn't, Garcia's going to get him. So,
Yeah, I think he's got to keep him at bay, stay away from the big hits, taking the big hits early, and then extend the fight and see what happens as it.
because when you're younger and you're a younger fighter, it's part of the machismo to take the other guy's big shot. And as you learn, there's no valor in taking the big shot. He has to stay away from the big shot in his fight. And he's been susceptible to overhand rights on occasion. He's got to stay away from that. Now, another fight that happened over the past weekend was DeAndre Ware, who's a St. John's grad and played basketball and football. He's a fireman here in town. He went in with an 11-0-2 record, and he fought in Brooklyn over the weekend against another guy at super middleweight that represented Puerto Rico in the 2012 Olympics. This was a Evander Holyfield promoted card. It was to promote the Puerto Rican fighters, not DeAndre Ware. So when you're being brought in as an opponent, and that's what's happening with Easter with Garcia, same thing happened to Ware. He was brought in as an opponent for this 2012 Olympian. Well, 9 times out of 10, that guy that's being brought in to be the opponent doesn't win. And in this case, DeAndre Ware did win the fight. It was an 8-round fight, won by decision. I caught the tail end of it once I found the feed online, and it was through Holyfield's website, his promotions website. And so I didn't see the whole fight. I saw the tail end. But the announcers were talking about how DeAndre dominated the fight. He got inside. He's shorter than the other guy. He's only 5'9", maybe. And got inside, won the decision. They said very handily, well, see, this is the thing when you're brought in as the opponent. One judge had it even. 2 judges had it 5 rounds to 3. And the announcers were talking about like it was a 6-2 or 7-1 fight.
He probably did win it handily then, but since he
Right.
he wasn't the guy that was supposed to win, the judges,
Wait, you're saying boxing cards don't always reflect the fight accurately?
Well, he's improved. He's improving. And he had a draw, a couple of years ago now against somebody who wasn't a very good fighter. And his improvement from then to now has been very good. So he's going to get bigger fights now. So can he fight at the world-class level in that? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. But it was an impressive win over the weekend.
Well, and that having local guys is something that will get the sports reach out a little bit more around here, especially when you've got bigger guys on a bigger stage, or local guys on a bigger stage.
So congratulations to DeAndre Ware, too, who's a great guy on top of everything else. So we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk a little baseball. We'll talk a little bit about Tommy John surgery for one of the stars of the game. That when we come back. It's for our Roundtable show presented by Ralphie's, and we'll be back.
Bring yourself to Ralphie's. Yeah, it's that good. It's that good no matter what your taste. It's that good. Come early, stay late. Burgers and beer, a shot of cheer. Great food and fun.
Save more at the Monroe Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Superstore when you drive home one of 4 amazing new models for only $178 a month. Drive home in a 2018 Dodge Charger GT all-wheel drive, 2018 Jeep Compass Limited, the all-new 2019 Jeep Cherokee Limited, or the all-new 2018 Jeep Wrangler Limited Sport 4-wheel drive 4-door. Call the Low Payment Kings toll-free at 1-888-4DODGE-1 or check out hundreds of cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs at monroesuperstore.com.
Powerbomb Wrestling is now available for live performances at your business or fundraiser. You can have a live Powerbomb Wrestling show either inside or outside to attract potential customers to your business. Also, PBW Wrestling can help you raise thousands of dollars for your nonprofit organization or charity. Find out more about the power of Powerbomb Wrestling and help your organization today. Contact us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or at our website at pbwexcitement.com. Welcome back, Front Row Roundtable show presented by Ralphie's. Big thanks to them, of course. And also Ralph Mahalik, Monroe Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Superstore in Monroe, and also Mike Seeger, Red Wing Shoes on Reynolds Road. All right. We may have a superstar going for Tommy John surgery. As we speak right now, it has not been scheduled as of yet. I think it will end up being the case. Shohei Ohtani for the Angels, who had, see, when they say sprain is really a tear. It can be a slight tear.
Right.
It could be a significant tear or a complete tear. And that's basically the 3 grades, at least for Tommy John, in the UCL.
Right.
He had a grade 1 before he got to the Angels. And that's, that was a concern going in. A lot of teams flagged that, and now it's grade 2. So I don't know. I'm assuming it's the same tear. Everybody's kind of assuming it's the same tear, and it's basically torn farther. They're supposed to evaluate him for 3 weeks after giving the platelet injections, but I think it's Tommy John.
Anytime any of these pitchers say, well, rest and rehab, I'm going to try rest and rehab first. All it does is delay the inevitable, because 9 times out of 10 you still have to have surgery, and now you're 6 months down the road when you could have been halfway through your comeback.
Yeah, the rehab is generally around 15 months, give or take a few months.
Right.
And if they did it now, he would be out. He's going to be out the rest of the year anyway, and then would be out all of 2019.
Right. If he delays it and doesn't go until August or September to have it, then yeah, he's going to miss the entire 2019.
You risk missing the start of 2020.
Right. I've never understood those guys that have that, and I'm going to try to rest and rehab.
Well, the one thing to keep in mind is it's still not 100% surgery. There are guys that don't come back. There's guys like Johnny Venters who has like 8 of them and still comes back, but it is not 100%. The guys that don't come back from it, you just don't. You go, what happened to him? Oh wait, yeah, didn't he have Tommy John surgery a couple of years ago and never came back?
Boston Globe actually had an article earlier this week about where Tommy John himself is trying to talk kids away from it, because a lot of kids want to have it done. They don't even have the tear. They just want to have it done because they think it'll make it better. And
I've heard about that.
And the highest percentage of growth in Tommy John surgeries is between kids 15 and 18 years old. And he blames a lot of things, and I'm sure in Ohtani's case, because a lot of people don't know, Japanese high school baseball is even more ridiculous than our high school baseball is. They have a national high school tournament where guys like Matsuzaka have made their name, and those guys will throw 150, 160 pitches in a game as a high schooler. And I'm sure it was the same thing with Ohtani. I mean, if you're a good pitcher, you get on one of these teams, and overuse is just going to do that.
Any thought?
When he said that number of pitches, I was thinking, now I hate Japanese coaches, because one of my pet peeves is abusing kids, which I consider some of what goes on in Little League Baseball and in some of the fall leagues and some of the things that go on, the equivalent of child abuse. And I know that's a very strong thing, but you're putting that person in harm's way on purpose, and you do it knowingly, and then people say it's to win a game or whatever else, and it just drives me crazy.
Well, I was even talking to a friend who is a fellow St. John's baseball parent. The Ohio high school rule is 125 pitches in a game. And I looked at him, I said, I was thinking of that. Major leaguers don't even throw 125 pitches in a game. Hardly ever anymore.
Right.
Unless you're a Justin Verlander or you're going for a no-hitter or something like that. Even in the minors, most kids, if they come out of high school going to the minors, they're put on a 60 to 75 pitch count. But in high school baseball, they're allowed to throw 125.
What used to drive me crazy as a Little League guy, because the Little League rules were innings.
Right.
And you could have an inning where a guy, a kid walks a couple, gets deep in counts, a couple balls are fouled off, and they get 36, 38 pitches in an inning and say, well, you can only go 4. Well, he just threw 160 pitches in 4 innings, and yet somebody else could have a 4-pitch inning, a 6-pitch inning, and a 9-pitch inning, right? And then he goes 12, and he's done. He didn't throw as many in his 4 as the other kid threw in the first, and he's done because you don't reward him for being efficient, or you don't reward coaches for teaching them how to pound the strike zone and be efficient.
Right.
It used to drive me crazy. It still does.
It's like watching Buck Farmer pitch every inning.
What drives me crazy. That's exactly right.
All right, we just got a minute or so left. I thought this was really funny. We've talked about minor league teams' nicknames, like the Hartford Yard Goats, and I'm sure you could go.
I didn't know about this until you texted me earlier.
Yeah, the one day
Island,
ones.
if you remember the video of the rat in New York City that was dragging a piece of pizza around.
Big New York deli style pizza. Yeah.
Yeah. So for 5 games, the Staten Island team, which is the short season A team for the Yankees, are going to deem themselves the Staten Island Pizza Rats.
But
I think it's fantastic, personally.
That's not even the worst.
Okay.
The West Michigan Whitecaps, the Tigers' low A affiliate.
Oh, no. I know where this is going.
Has rebranded themselves for 1 game in August as the Beer City Bunghammers.
Oh, no, I forgot about that.
The Beer City Bunghammers. They are selling T-shirts and caps and everything saying Bunghammer across the front.
I am not commenting on that.
Bill Veek is somewhere looking down, smiling, in full support of what's going on.
And mercifully, we have to go. Thanks, Marty. Thanks, John. We'll come at you next week. Powerbomb Wrestling coming up at 2 a.m. If you don't DVR it, you can always catch it at fight.tv or catch it on our YouTube channel or on Facebook as well. We'll post it there too. All right, we'll see you next time on the Farmer Roundtable show presented by Ralphie's.